Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Businessology Show. Of course, I'm your host, Jason Blummer, and our firm, Blummer CPAs, is the sponsor of the show. If you know, that's what we do. And of course, we help agencies all over the U.S. We coach them, we consult, we help agencies construct teams. And you also know what we do, which is we bring guests on the show that talk about growth. They talk about agency growth to other agency entrepreneurs. And it's hard. It's not hard. That's not easy stuff to figure out. And it's a mind F a lot of times. And so what we try to do is bring guests on who know how to do this, who are going through the grit and grind of some of that. And they're going to share their ups and downs with us about how they do that. And so I'm pumped to invite Bobby G. He is the leader of Propr. And if you don't follow his LinkedIn, you need to, because he's got videos all over the place. So he's always instructing people about brands and how to do it authentically. And I just want to read a quick bio. So he's a lifelong city boy. He's a brand development growth marketing advisor, and he's been doing this forever. I think at Propr Design, his own firm, for 7 years, but he's been doing it way longer than that. And he hails from Baltimore, Maryland. And he works with mid to large market U.S.-based companies, helps them compete on their values and tell authentic stories through word, image, and interaction. And that's what he does. Bobby G, welcome to the show, man. So thankful to have
I
you
got
here.
chills, man. Thanks for having me. This is great.
This is so cool. So Bobby, so we've known each other 5-7 years, something like that.
Yeah.
We did some coaching, and you've been doing agency life for freaking ever. And just give a brief history of what Propr does, and talk to us about. I don't know what you mean, compete on values. What do you mean helping people do that? And just give us a little brief intro to Propr, and then we're going to talk about the agency space and why it's effed up or not effed up.
Yeah. All right. You're gonna have to help me make sure I hit all those points. So Propr, like you said, we're brand development, growth marketing, meaning that we're a results agency. So it's very important for us to make sure that all the symptoms that our clients are experiencing lead to us being the right fit to help them navigate through whatever they're experiencing, and take a very holistic and integrated look at all aspects of the business, breaking down silos, and then just really focusing on what truly matters to the organization. Defining that, having clarity around that, and using those things which are your values, your core values, as guides to action, guides to hiring, guides to making critical decisions around all aspects of the operation. And of course, it helps us put parameters around what's appropriate in terms of word and image for creating key marketing assets like websites and marketing campaigns and all things design. Those parameters allow us to be very innovative. Without those parameters, you'll see things like clients saying, I don't like it, or their spouse poo-pooing on it. But when you make it about what's best for the brand and what's best for their target audience or customers, then you have the ability to be really innovative because you know what's best, you know what's appropriate.
Okay, so you bring guidance so that people don't have to rely on
clarity,
their emotion to make wrong decisions about a brand and how it's portrayed out into the world, something like that.
Yeah, and like Seth Godin wrote, everything is marketing. But what you're marketing is a message. Everything you're doing, saying, and putting out there is a message. It sends a message to somebody, and they interpret that message. And what that message and how it's interpreted and how it makes people feel, that's your brand. So we talk about brand as reputation. So you think about your reputation. What do you want to be known as? How do you want that to be real? You want that to be authentic because it's easier. It's less expensive than pushing a false narrative.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to support a false narrative too.
Yeah, it's really expensive to do that, and it's a fool's errand because eventually it's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So when you think about your reputation, right, you're able to assess things better.
Okay.
What's right for us? Who do we want on our team?
Yeah.
Who do we want to work with?
Yeah.
That feeds into the leaders of the company, the founders of the company's legacy. So it's a massive big picture look at things, but it's very tactical and
Yeah.
practical in nature.
Yeah. Now, so I mean, you're really against gimmicks, shortcuts, hacks, uh, towards some
Yep.
brand strength or whatever that is. I want to know what that means. And then on the other side, I know you well. You're an extremely real, authentic person, and you just kind of enter the world as if as who you are, and you welcome the people that want to be with you, and you you say we'll see you to the people who may not, and that's maybe how we need to all authentically walk into the world. Why is it such a big deal
Yeah.
to you? Why are hacks, shortcuts, inauthentic stuff? Why is that so personal to you? Why is that a big deal? And you just
Oh, wow. It's because I've seen that side of the world. I've seen, experience it firsthand, where, it's all transactional. It's all for somebody's ego. There's nothing real about it. Uh, it's selfishness at the top, and it's taking advantage of people, taking advantage of clients,
wow.
just to have some sort of perceived win, to convey this idea that, of excellence, or, but it's all facade. It's sad, really, to me. I just want, one of our core values is, our core values are, we fight for what's right. We don't take any bullshit. We do the right thing, and we give a shit. And, when, at its root level, like, you want to get up every day and be excited about what you do. You want to be fulfilled about the relationships you have. And when, a lot of agencies, the metrics that they care about most are the transactions.
Mm.
How much are we selling? How much did we close? And to me, that's the last metric. That, those are important. We're in
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
but, it's did we bring in the right client? Did we get them the results they needed? Did we help them transform their organization? Did we help them grow? Did we help them become more cohesive? Did we empower them? So empowering our clients, empowering anybody that actually engages with the brand, or touches the brand, whether it's a student, a contractor, an employee, a client, a customer. Like, we want them to be better than they were before they worked with us, before we worked with them, before they even talked to us. Even this, like, giving back my time.
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity, but, like, this is important for us to contribute towards something bigger than us. And when you're focusing on relationships, the right relationships, working with the right people on both sides of the door, then, it's going to be so much more worth it, and life is short. So why treat people like shit? Or why try to trick people into doing things? Plus, it's a short game mentality to just focus on money and transactions.
Yeah. Well, and
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy to do the right thing and treat people right and get them better outcomes and actually listen to them and hear them. And then you can come and put it together, in your system, in your process, however you help best. Like, they're going to be appreciative.
Yeah. Well, and
they're going to be referrals, reviews, recommendations, goodwill, someone to grab a drink with, like, someone, that looks back to you and says, we need your help again when they're ready.
Nice. Well, and now, and as you're talking about this, one thing that's hitting me is that if you want to build a company based upon strong relationships, what you're doing is you're investing in a long term, right? Gimmicks give you a short win. And a lot of people are like, I don't want to do that long range crap, right? It takes too long. It's a pain in the butt. I want it, we all want it now. And so the model you're saying just takes longer, it seems like. And so what do you do in the mid when you're going, this is not, because you must struggle sometimes too, and it just messes with your head. Like, I'm not gaining
Sure.
ground the way I want to in my agency, but you're also committed to these authentic long-term relationships that just take time to prosper and blossom over time. And how do you
Yeah.
marry that up? That's a hard thing, I would imagine.
It's commitment.
Yeah.
So when the universe aligned and it was time for me to start my own agency, I think the entrepreneurial bug bites us, and we have a sense of there's a better way.
Mm.
And what's the better way? And for us, the better way is to focus on relationships and results for our clients, and only work with people that we appreciate and appreciate us. So, that's what I'm hedging my bets on. And that's what I've done since the beginning. So, there's no overnight success. The success that we're seeing now is truly the culmination of 200,000 years of humans telling stories, right? So people are telling stories, they're sharing information, we're getting educated, we're getting our own experience.
Yeah.
But, that didn't happen overnight, right? So when I felt that there was a better way, I committed to that way. And to compromise on that would be to give up. And like you said, it's a short-term thing. I read an awesome book last year called The Overstory, or The Understory, or The Overstory. And it was about trees, and it's a novel. It's pretty awesome.
About trees.
Great beach read. Trees, right, and people. And
Okay.
but the story I want to tell is that, when a tree is growing in a forest, right? There's we'll call it the mother tree. It's 500-year-old tree, and it has all these other baby trees around it. And there's several of these. It goes on and on and on, and before humans chop them all down. But that 500-year-old tree has trees below it that are 8, 10, 15 foot tall that may be 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So they grew to like a 6-inch diameter base of the trunk, but it's 100 years old. It's 80 years old, right? That tree is poised to live for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. Okay. That's sustainability. That's methodic, healthy growth focused on what's best, doing it the right way. Or you can throw a tree in a vacant lot, right? A house came down in East Baltimore, and a tree was growing in the back, and it's been growing there for 25 years. It may be 100 feet tall, but you know what? At the end of the day, that tree only probably has another 25 years left because it grew too fast. It's not healthy. It's not sustainable. It didn't do it the right way. So at the end of the day, it's like, which way are you going to do it? Do you want to make it as much money as possible in a short term, potentially working yourself to death? That sounds quite miserable. Or being patient, doing it the right way, focusing on what really matters, and create a business that can outlive you, that can make a difference and change people's lives beyond your full investment in it.
Wow.
I'd rather be that old ass tree in the forest.
So Bobby, you are a great storyteller. That's pretty amazing. You just tell stories about trees. I think people struggle with that. You just said what people struggle with. And I think right now in the pandemic, we're seeing people, and I think struggle with this. And I think now we can switch kind of to team building, company building. And I know you've been in some crappy agencies. And what we've been talking about is the authenticity of helping a client's brand, but you carry that internal to your team, right? You have a view of your team, which is a gratefulness towards their commitment to be with you. Not only have you committed to Propr, this agency space, long-term, you're seeing your team do that for you, and it blows your mind that they would adapt to live by the core values that you all want to espouse together. So now as we go internally, how do you be an authentic leader with those people you love and care about. And do you love them? Can you love your team? Is that allowed? Is that what authenticity means?
Man, authenticity just means you keep it real, right? There's no secret conversations. There's no ulterior motives. There's no facade. It's you. And, when you're in this business, like it becomes not what you do. It's essentially who you are. So, why, lots of tattoos. Do I cover them up? No. Because, I'm quite irreverent and probably not the most polished dude around coming from West Philly. But you know what? That's not why people hire me. That's not why people hire Propr. They hire Propr because of the relationships we want and collaboration we have with them and the results. So, the folks on my team, that appeals to them. Our director of getting shit done, she said she would never work at another agency again. She's been working with me for 18 months. She's a linchpin here, right? Gabby, my art director, she's been around for 3.5 years. Same. They don't want to work at agencies. They want to work at Propr. Right. And man, do I appreciate that? I will cry my eyes out in appreciation. It's so touching to me.
Yeah.
Because, there's an interesting part about being an entrepreneur that I've never heard anyone talk about. Is the impact you have on other people's lives, not your customers or clients, but your team.
Yeah.
The fact that I can give them opportunity and give them something that they can be enthusiastic and passionate about, that they enjoy doing, that they're fulfilled doing.
Yeah,
right?
That you can give them the freedom to do.
Yeah, and it all comes down to one thing, trust, right? I trust them. They know I trust them. They know I got their back, right? But you can't trust other people unless you're trustworthy yourself. So that's the genuineness of it. If I'm keeping it real and they know there's transparency around everything, they know my vision, right? They know I'm not BSing anybody. They know I won't take it. They know I'll fire a client if they disrespect them. Like it's us, right?
Yeah.
And we would love to have a relationship with you, but just like any relationship, it's got to be equal. Right. There's got to be a flat hierarchy. It's, so being trustworthy, you got to do all the things that are important. Working, I like to say that we work in our client's best interest.
Yeah.
And we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But first and foremost, I'm working in my team's best interest. And I work for them at the end of the day. Right. They're not my employees. The company just pays them for being a part of this.
Yeah.
But they get all the credit. I take all the blame.
Wow.
And I feel like that's true leadership. It's putting them in a position to be successful. It's putting them in an environment that they can thrive and flourish in, that they enjoy being in. There's minimal bullshit, right? There's no hassle. The nature of the beast is, it's the game's the game. But at the end of the day, there's a circle of appreciation. There's a trust and honesty. I know that people have lives. I know that things come up, and silly things that I've experienced over the years, like having to be at work at a certain time, or we work 9 to 5, or my team's all over the country, and they could be local, but they could be in Maine for 2 weeks, or they could be in Australia for 10 days. I don't care. All I care about is that we understand the situation. They're managing everybody's expectations, and they're doing what they need to do.
That's beautiful.
I don't tell them what to do. If I was micromanaging them, I should shut my company down. If you have somebody in your team who's a middle manager and they're micromanaging people, fire that person before you're done listening here. Because if you have somebody who has the power to do that, treat other people that way, they're covering their own ass. They actually don't have a job. What they do is they're taking a lot of money from you to make sure that people don't expose them as a fraud. So, think about the people. You don't have to have Sunday dinner together every week or anything like that. You just have to appreciate and trust and treat each other with respect. But also, you want to support them where they need support. You want to push them to grow.
Yeah.
You want to, like I said, we want everybody to be better, because they engage with Propr and us.
Yeah.
That includes the team.
Yeah. Well, Bobby, so this is amazing. I want to get personal.
That wasn't personal?
Yeah, well, no, that was personal. But I want to ask you, as an entrepreneur from West Philly, I don't know if you grew up rough or if you went through some transformation in your life. Like, was there a point in your life where you were not authentic and you went, what am I doing? I'm going to be me. Because and maybe you went, I don't know. Did you go, I can't be who I am? Because people won't like truly who I am. And did you finally come to a point, which I think you're at now, apparently, that you're like, hey, you're going to need to either embrace who I am or not embrace who I am. And that's cool. But let's figure that out authentically so we can be in a relationship or not be in it. And did you go through a journey, maybe through other agency leadership? Because I know you've been in agency leadership for a long time. Like, what was your own journey to authenticity? Or was there some journey?
It's the true hero's epic, and I'm not a hero though. But it's the story is the same. Like, the transformation happened. I always wanted to be myself, and I went to Catholic elementary school, and they tried to quite literally beat the crap out of me, mentally, physically, emotionally, to be a follower. They couldn't do it. I just have my own ideas, and I'm not just going to submit to something else. I'm going to question it. But going through high school and college, I never was in the in crowd. That never appealed to me. I just like people that I would. We were at the community pool on Sunday, and our neighbors, our friends were there, and they're like, "Look at you guys! You guys just bounce around between the different groups, the different cliques." And I'm like, that's the way I've always been.
Yeah.
I don't have a set clique. I don't have a gang that, I was never part of a fraternity or anything like that, because that just doesn't make any sense to me. I just was, hung out with the goth kids and the jocks and the metal kids and the music people and the artsy people. I just hung around with people that were interesting and treated people well. Even some of those kids treated you like shit.
Yeah.
But there were some good times.
Yeah.
So, but it really took. I mean, you're looking at me, in my 40s. It may appear that I was always this confident and brave. I just had the potential to be this way. It took a long time, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of struggle, like depression, everything. All that stuff's real, but I can only be myself.
Yeah.
And I thought that, at different times, I remember I went on a job interview when I was a terrible designer early in my career, and I wore a suit. And I laugh at that because my work was awful and I wore a suit.
That makes me laugh too, man.
They were like, dude wore a suit. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm a clown. but you're figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
Right?
I love it.
At the end of the day, nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So the best you can do is just know yourself and know what you're good at and really pay attention to what really matters to you.
Yeah. Well,
you're not going to find somebody who's really passionate and really going to give you their all if it's not what they want. It's not what they need.
Yeah. And
I had a job at a. Go ahead.
Well, I was just, Bobby, that the things you're saying, are just common journeys, right? It's what everybody's going
Yeah.
through. Anybody that's listening is like, yeah, I did the depression route too. Yeah, I went down that. I know I
It
did.
cycles through, man.
Yeah,
Still.
it's just real stuff. So you're just stating some authentic journey to finally embrace who you are and stop fighting it and go, world, this is what you get with Bobby being on the planet. So there's got to be a group of 15, 20 people that are okay with that. And let me hang out with them and let's see if we can kill some stuff and knock it out of the park. And because we don't have
Have
to
a good
be
time.
friends. Yeah, we don't have to be friends with everybody. We don't have to make sure everybody likes us, but we
No,
do
sir.
have to. Sometimes we have to fight ourselves to be who we're meant to be, and we're the first battle we have to overcome. And if we win at that battle,
we're never alone. We're always with ourselves.
that's right.
We're always in our head.
And we're messing ourselves up in our head, but fighting who we are because we know not everybody's going to really appreciate our authentic self. But how did you make it through that? Like you made it, man, right? Are you there? Like you've arrived?
Yeah, it's an interesting spot right now. Like I said earlier, like I felt there was a better way to run an agency, a better approach, right? And I was determined to prove that, and we're proving it. Like the business has always been profitable. We've seen growth every year, sometimes double revenue year over year.
Good grief.
We're not slowing down. We're just focusing more on our positioning, who's the ideal client, then how to get our message in front of them, how to have less conversations with people that are the wrong fit. But like, how do we get here? I mean, I'm in my head nonstop. So like as someone who positions brands and helps them, the position is the real thing. Like we're not creating some false narrative. So I'm already thinking about that. Like, what's the real story here? Where'd you come from? But also more importantly, where are you going? Because we want to face forward.
Yeah.
So, I'm thinking about that as my career, but like, I'm also thinking about that with my company and it's nonstop. It's always on. So, what I do is allow those thoughts to happen. I embrace it. I take my dogs for an hour-long walk every morning. I go hiking on the weekends with my kids are little, but they're big enough to go hiking. Like I let my thoughts run, and I take note of the important stuff. So I have crazy ideas, right? And I guess that's why I'm good at what we do here. But you have those ideas that you're like, you do something crazy like blow up a car, right? Yeah. Or burn something down, right? Not saying that it's not the idea that's the problem. It's the action that's the problem. So instead of saying, I have a healthy fear of heights.
Yeah.
So, in my mind, like, driving over the Bay Bridge, like that's pretty scary. But like in my imagination, I can imagine getting an accident, falling over the bridge. But what I do is I allow that thought to fully materialize from start to finish.
Wow.
Instead of squashing it. Because once you squash it, it's not going away. It's just you can't manage it anymore.
It's going to
fester. And then they start piling up like bricks.
Yeah.
Right? So let those ideas come to fruition. What happened if you lost your best client? Think that through. What would happen if your team mutinied on you? What would happen if you didn't get that big deal? Like, let those thoughts materialize, like germinate, but let them have a life cycle, right? Because those are important thoughts. Because if your mind's generating those notions, right, like burning something down, like I want to do that, but that's fun to imagine.
Yeah.
Right. If I was like Michael Bay or something, I could do it with Hollywood magic. But but like let those ideas, no matter how scary they are, have their life cycle, because they will it will end, right? And then you move in. And what we like to say is, like, those types of ideas, even when the creative process, which ideas that you latch onto, we call those the cork ideas, meaning they're the cork in a bottle of wine. They're important to be there, but they're also necessary to get out of the way so the goodness can flow. And that applies to so many aspects of business and life and the creativity, but also dealing with our heads, right? Because self-doubt, imposter syndrome, feeling like you're a fraud even though you're not, like feeling that this is all going to fall apart. Like, we're all feeling that.
I know.
And they're symptoms of just your business needs work.
Yeah.
Maybe you need some work.
Yeah. Well, and
that's okay.
Yeah. And so you're talking about, as the entrepreneur, we need to do our mental work. We have a job to do on our head. And because our minds layer up issues over and over. And if we're not sorting through those, I know I've learned that in my own life, if you're not actively sorting through those thoughts, and I do it through journaling and walking and going in nature too. So I use some of the same tools you use. And if you don't, that stuff will build up on you. And it causes a lot of mental anxiety, mental stress. And I've never heard this
physical pain.
It works itself out into the physical body. And I've never heard about managing these thoughts by letting them run to their end, because they are just thoughts. And I've never heard, letting it go. A lot of times we want to stop it up. But it sounds like to be healthy, your mind is bringing that stuff out. So let it go in a safe way, maybe through journaling, walking, letting it run through your mind so that it can have its end point, right? And you're saying creativity is the same way, right? You're saying if y'all are building the brand, go do the crazy ancillary stupid things so you can finally get to the right answer. Is that how you approach?
Get that crap out of the way.
Yeah, get the crap out of the way. Like, does your team just go, I'm going to build the stupidest, craziest thing to represent the authenticity of this company so I can truly get to what is going to be right for them? Do you approach your creativity
think
that
of it
way?
as a pendulum, right? Think of it as a pendulum, right? And, we're in Baltimore, so Poe is always in the equation. But it doesn't have to be terror. But the pendulum swings, right? Too far this way, it's outrageous. Too far this way, you're incredibly conservative, and it won't make any difference, right? There's a Goldilocks zone in there, and it's not this tight. Like, there's room. So it's figuring out, it's entertaining those both extremes, but then determining, okay, what's actually, it's probably a little bit further towards the outlandish idea is where you want to be. You don't want to be safe, but it's a reflection on taking action, and that's what we want to do. So we're a lean, nimble team, but we take action a lot. We take a lot of ideas that were created for, like, product design or like Agile and Scrum and things like that. We don't abide by any dogma, but we take good ideas and apply them to what we do. And, so what we want to do is not get stuck trying to find the perfect solution or the perfect message or the perfect campaign or even the perfect, like, marketing philosophy, because there is none. And if you're seeking that perfect situation, then the only thing you're going to achieve is procrastination and paralysis. In other words, no action. Even if the action you take, whether for everything from hiring to color to messaging towards channels, vehicles, things like that, even if you were not spot on, even if you were not perfect, it's still an opportunity to learn. And if that is a success, we learned something that didn't work, which is going to allow us to improve our next 30 or 90 days. That didn't work. Let's do this. Oh, that worked, right? Let's focus on why that worked and see if we can get some more traction out of that. So the pursuit of perfection will get you nowhere. And as you know, as your listeners are probably guys and gals like me, like we feel like our agency needs to be perfect. Our stuff needs to be perfect, right? And then we'll end up like never working on our own marketing, never working on our own website, never working on our own positioning, because it's so unapproachable.
Right.
Because we think it needs to be perfect. It doesn't. Take that action. Take strategic imperfect action. Meaning, and that's from my boys Sam and Mike, but it's doing your due diligence.
Yeah.
Having a process, right? So that you can improve that process, you can learn during that process, you can launch, deliver, take that action. Then you can evaluate what you've done, and then you can improve it, right? So it's very iterative, but you gotta have some guts.
Yeah,
you gotta jump.
Yeah,
right. You can't sit back and say, well, we're gonna just be, everything to everybody.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's a tree growing in a lot.
That's right.
If you say like these are our ideal, this is who we think our ideal clients are, right?
Yeah.
Even if they're not. Yeah. Even if right now that they are, and in a year they're not, that's okay, right? Because you're going to be more efficient. You're going to get better results. You're going to grow in a healthy, sustainable fashion.
I love it. Well, Bobby, dude, I could just talk to you all day, man, about the authenticity of how you
go on all day.
I love how you lead, man. I love it, and we're out of time. So, but people,
bummer.
I know. Well, and I would say to people they need to follow you on LinkedIn because you're pouring this goodness out in videos, which is really a gift.
We got to get back, man. That's part of it. Right.
Yeah.
We can't go to the grave with all this in our heads.
We
got to give it out.
That's right, man. I love it. And so how do people find you? Like, I guess they can just search you on LinkedIn. I mean, what's your website, where you guys write things?
Sure.
What is that?
Yeah. So hit me up on LinkedIn, but if you're going to hit me up, drop me a note because I don't accept it unless there's some note, even if you think you know me. Say what's up. Say you heard me on Jason's show. Say I want to know. That's how we'll create a relationship. So my LinkedIn is THAT, that Bobby G. You can find us on our website, proprdesign.com, and Propr spelled PRO, no E, design.com. Or you can just Google that. We'll come up. And our social media stuff like that, like we do it just because it's creative and fun. But, our clients aren't looking for us on Instagram or Facebook. So, we use our website and our LinkedIn as the main means to get the good news out.
Yeah, nice. Well, cool. Well, Bobby G, thanks for joining us on the Businessology Show and
my pleasure, man.
Blowing up our heads a little bit with your journey, and it's a journey.
Anytime, dude.
Yeah, it's something everybody's going through. So just to hear somebody authentically talk about what people do and struggle and the journey and a long-term commitment to be that 500-year-old tree, that's a kick in the pants we need. And I love that your 4 core values, shit is in 2 of them. So, I mean, way to go, man. Just to see if you can get shit in the other 2.
We give a shit, right? Like, you better.
Very cool.
And I mean, at the end of the day, it's just keep it real, right?
Yeah.
Like, keep it real. Keep it real to yourself. What are you doing when people aren't looking? Like, keep it real, right?
Yeah.
Don't be phony. Don't try to BS anybody.
Yeah.
And your life will be happier.
I love it.
Sure.
Okay. Well, thank you, listeners, for joining us on the Businessology Show. We have guests like Bobby come drop some wisdom, entrepreneurial agency wisdom of the journey they go through. So Thanks for joining us, and we'll have another guest next month on this show, this video cast, this podcast. It's a podcast and a video cast now. So thanks again, Bobby, for being with us. Take care, man. We'll see you.
Thank you, Jace. Appreciate it, man.